In this video, I will show you how I created this beautiful sunset scene using Distress Oxide inks. I'll also be using the stamp set from the latest My Monthly Hero kit from Hero Arts for June 2023. Hi, this is Anna from Crafty Anna Studio. Welcome to my channel where I post paper crafting and card making tutorials. But before we get into card making, let's take a quick look at the kit. So first, you have the information card which lists all the contents of both the classic and the premium kit, as well as inspiration on the other side. This kit contains a 6x8 stamp set with a beautiful color layering beach and sunset scene, as well as lots of silhouette images to go with it. The kit also comes with coordinating frame cuts and also a wonderful beach window die that cuts out a beautiful scene with palm trees and plants. Included in the kit are 4 mini reactive ink cubes in Splash, Taffy, Lemon Drop, and Creamsicle, as well as 6 pieces of 8.5 by 5.5 panels of watercolor cardstock. And if you're a subscriber to the premium kit, you will get these extras: a color layering 3-piece stencil set with a seashells design, 1 stencil that colors in the patterns, the next that outlines, and then lastly all the details. The premium kit also comes with C-Dot enamel stickers and Bahama Bliss sequins, and also iridescent embossing powder. So now it's time to make a card, and I will show you how I made this beautifully ink blended sunset. I taped down on my Mini Misti a panel of 5.5 by 4.25 piece of smooth white cardstock. I'll be using Distress Oxide inks in Mustard Seed, Carved Pumpkin, Candied Apple, Wilted Violet, and Chipped Sapphire. I took the first layer of the C stamp and laid it on the bottom half of my cardstock. Close the door of the Misti to pick up the stamp. The ink that I'll start with is Mustard Seed. To achieve a smooth ink blended gradient, I'll be using these mini sponge daubers. First, I make sure to saturate the sponge daubers with lots of ink. Then I pounce it on the upper part of the stamp, pouncing it from side to side until it's fully inked up. Then I close the door of the Misti to transfer the ink onto the paper. Then I take the next color, Carved Pumpkin, and dab it right below the yellow color, moving from side to side until fully saturated. Then I close the door of my Misti, give it a good press to transfer the ink onto the cardstock. Then I do the same for the Candied Apple, bouncing it from side to side until fully saturated, closing the door of the Misti and opening it up again. This time, I felt that there was not much color transfer, so I repeated the process. This is actually my go-to technique when I want to create an ink blended gradient. I just make sure that I don't add contrasting colors next to each other, or it might create a muddy blend. So I continue to work my way down the stamp. This time I'm adding Wilted Violet. Then I will add Chipped Sapphire to the very bottom. Then I take the next layer and lay it down at the top of the horizon line. This stamp set is quite easy to line up. I close the door of the Misti to pick up the stamp. Then I take Carved Pumpkin and I will add that to the upper part of the horizon line. I take my sponge dauber and do the same thing, pouncing it on the upper half of the stamp. Next, I will add candied apple to the bottom half of the stamp. I just make sure that when I pounce it, I overlap the orange color just a little. And finally, the last layer of the sea, which is the reflection of the sun. I line it up once again right in the middle. Very easy to line up. Then I pick up the stamp. Then I will add carved pumpkin. I felt the reflection was too dark, so I'll add a little mustard seed on top. And that's all that's needed for the sea. Next, I will take the horizon sun and place it right above the horizon line on top of the reflection. I take the carved pumpkin again and dab it on the bottom half of the sun. Then I take candied apple and dab that only on the upper edges of the sun. Again, this will create a beautiful gradient. Before I stamp the clouds and ink blending the sky, I will heat emboss the sun with iridescent embossing powder. The reason I'm doing this is I wanted to give the sun a little bit of shine, and when I start ink blending on top of it, the ink will resist the embossed sun and the edges will remain crisp. So I stamped it with Versamark ink, and then I will sprinkle it with the iridescent powder that came in the kit, and then heat set it off camera. Then after heat setting it, I will take the cloud stamp, and this stamp is usually placed in the horizon line like this. I will show you how I will stamp these clouds while avoiding that harsh line. I will zoom in a little so you can see what I'm doing. I will start with candied apple. So I start daubing the ink on the bottom part of the stamp but avoiding the edge. So I continue dabbing until it is fully inked up. Then I close the door of my MISTI to transfer the ink. So when I lift it up, you can see that there is no harsh line. Then I will take the next color, Wilted Violet, and I will start dabbing that as well onto the upper part of the clouds. And finally, chipped sapphire on the very top of the clouds. I wanted a much darker impression, so for this one, I actually put the ink pad straight on the upper part of the stamp, then used the sponge dauber to smooth it out. Now I will start ink blending the sky. I'm going to use this mini brush from Altenew, and I will use this because I like how it blends. It's very easy and it doesn't have any harsh lines. So I'll start with mustard seed and slowly blending it onto the horizon. Then I take carved pumpkin and blend it right on top of the mustard seed. Then I will use the same color to ink blend the sea, just to add a little bit of color to the white lines. Next, I will ink blend candied apple right onto the clouds. I hope you're enjoying my tutorials so far. I would really appreciate it if you could like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. so that you can get notified whenever I post a new video. Thank you so much! After the candied apple, I will ink blend the wilted violet, and then finally for the top of the card, I will use the chipped sapphire. To get a darker blend, I will switch to a blending brush. The bristles are harder, so I can lay on more color easily. Then I will also ink blend the bottom part of the scene. And that's it! This is the ink blended sunset scene. Here is the card that I created earlier. I wanted to showcase the scene as I worked so hard on this, so I just cut out a black piece of cardstock with an oval die, and then I added a heat embossed sentiment. I also ink blended around the oval opening to create a warm glow. And this is the card that we made. This one has a bit of a red sun, and the one that I had made earlier is a bit lighter. Let me know which one you prefer. If you're interested in any of the products that I used in this video, I have them linked in my blog post linked below. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time, bye!